Hello there, good morning to you. Welcome. You're watching Newsroom here on GHOne Television. My name is Lantam Papanko. Let's take a look at the headlines making the bulletin this morning. Coming up on Newsroom today, the Electoral Commission is calling on Ghanaians to actively participate in the voters' exhibition exercise, which begins from today to August 27. We'll bring you some updates on how the exhibition is shaping up on the first day. Also ahead in the bulletin, the Ghana Police Service has arrested an off-duty policeman for allegedly shooting a man at GHOne's estate near Kuntunsi in Accra. We'll take you live to the family house of the deceased and bring you some updates from there. Also coming up, the CEO of the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital has assured renal patients that outpatient dialysis services will resume later today, as the issues surrounding the consumables which are needed for the treatments are being resolved. Later on in business, a tax analyst is advocating for the reduction of the current 10% tax on betting to 5%, suggesting that a threshold should be introduced to make Ghana more competitive with other countries. We've got details of all of these stories and more making the Newsroom Bulletin today. Do stay tuned. Thank you once again for joining us. The Bulletin is live on Facebook. We're also live on other social media channels, including YouTube and Instagram. Look for the handle GHOne TV. Family of a male adult, Stanley Ahaji, who was allegedly shot dead at GHOne's estate near Kuntunsi in Accra on Sunday, is demanding swift justice following the arrest of a ride-hailing driver who is reported to have killed their beloved son. The police arrested the ride-hailing driver, who was later identified as an off-duty police officer. According to the police, the incident occurred at around 4 a.m. on Sunday following an alleged confrontation between the deceased, Stanley Ahaji, and General Constable Smith Jeche over a dispute in the fair. The body of the deceased is currently deposited at the police hospital morgue for preservation and autopsy, while the suspect is in police custody as part of investigations into the incident. The police service narrated in a statement all of this, and my colleague Evelyn Araba Edu is currently at the family house of the deceased. She's joining us with an update on the matter. Evelyn Araba Edu, if you can hear me, tell us what you have been able to gather, from the mood of the family, what the police have told them, and all that has been going on with the family in the aftermath of the passing of their beloved son.
All right, Lantam, I must tell you, as you can see on the screen, it is a sorrowful scene here at La Paz, a suburb called 626 here. And I am in the family house of the deceased. And just as we were about getting ready to join you, we also had two clinical psychologists from the Ghana Police Service who just walked in here. But before we talk to them, I have the spokesperson of the family here, who is in the person of Dalali Wisdom. He will tell us exactly what they know about this issue. My condolences once again, Mr. Dalali.
Thank you very much.
First of all, walk us through, how did you receive the sudden news of the demise of your cousin?
Okay, actually it was on Sunday, early morning. We all woke up from bed and we never knew anything happened. So I took my phone in the morning, early mornings on Sunday, and I was just scrolling through my phone. Then I saw a news flashed on someone's TikTok. So I just went through and I saw a body lying down in a pool of blood. That is on someone's TikTok account. And actually, I cannot even actually tell the account because I was just scrolling through a TikTok and I just saw it. So quickly I called one of my uncles and asked my uncle, the uncle I called, that what is actually happening? I've seen something. And the uncle just told me he doesn't know. And I said, I forwarded the picture to him. Before he also called other uncles and told me that, yeah, that is the news he's also receiving. So quickly, I think the mom was in the house, and the mom and one uncle went to the scene to find out whether actually what they are hearing is true. So upon reaching there, before they realized that the body which was there is actually Stanley Ahaji's body. Yeah, so none of the family members were there when the incident took place. So we cannot actually say the family is a witness to the incident. Other witnesses were there, but we had the narrations from them. Yeah, so for now, that's what we can say. So we actually followed up to the police station before the witness spoke out, and we had other witnesses who observed the scene also spoke to us. So the whole issue was an Uber driver which was picked. Stanley Ahaji lives at Kuntunse, the Kwan's estate around that junction. He invited his girlfriend to come over to him on Sunday morning. So the girlfriend, wanting to reach there very early in the morning, ordered a Bolt at dawn, which is around 3 a.m. She ordered a Bolt. So the Uber driver took her to that destination, and on the way, I think they lost the app. The direction got mixed up on the way, so they had to use different routes before they arrived at the place. Arriving there obviously will increase the fare, because if it's a direct route, obviously the fare is around 150. That is what the lady is saying, the lady in question is saying. But because they lost, when they got there, the driver charged 300 cedis. That is what he's going to take. And the lady told the driver that he should reduce it, because when they take the Bolt from Ablekuma to the Kuntunse junction, they normally take 150 cedis. So the 300 is too much. So they should reduce it. The lady even sent 200 cedis from her phone to pay the Uber driver before they were talking on a reduction of the 100 cedis. Because the driver wasn't agreeing to reduce it and insisted to take the extra 100 cedis, the lady called the boyfriend, and the boyfriend sent 65 cedis from his phone to the Uber driver again. So the total money paid to the Uber driver was 265 cedis. So there was still a change of 35 cedis to be paid. The Uber driver insisted to take it. So the boy decided that then he is coming to meet his girlfriend at the junction so that he can intervene. So the boy called an Okada driver. The Okada picked him to the junction. When they arrived at the junction, he pleaded that the fare is too much if they can reduce it. The Uber driver refused, that he's not going to reduce it. So the boy said, then I don't have the extra 35 cedis to add up, because the fare is too much and they even do take 150. So we also don't have the extra to pay, so reduce it. So it became a disagreement in the fare issue. So other witnesses over there, when they saw the way the whole thing was going, there were about 1 or 2 witnesses around. They also intervened that, fine, then if that's the case, let's pay the remaining 35. The Uber driver insisted that the boy has showed disrespect to him, so he's going to teach him a lesson. So he held the boy's neck. The boy was wearing a top, so he held the neck, and because he was getting choked by the neck, he decided to remove the top so that he can free himself and breathe. So he removed the top, actually. So even in the video, you will see him lying down in a pool of blood, bare-chested. So when he removed the top, the Uber driver went into his car. He was using a Matisse Uber. Yeah, it's a Matisse car. So he went into his car and pulled out a pistol from the car. And when he pulled out the pistol, they got scared. The girlfriend, the boyfriend, and the Okada motor rider got scared and pleaded that they will pay the balance. So he asked them, do you think the gun I'm holding is a toy gun? So I'm joking with the gun. Then he entered the car back to pick something from the car and putting in the pistol. So that was where they realized that he was loading the pistol with a bullet. So apparently they even thought that the first time he brought the gun, there was bullet in the car. So it was the second time he went to the car to load it before they realized that he is now loading bullets into the car. But it's too late. They can't run because there's nothing they can do. So they still had to be there and be pleading. So when they were there still pleading, they knelt down and the driver came out and gave a warning shot. They still knelt down pleading that please don't shoot us. It's 35 cedis. We are ready to pay the balance. So the Uber driver said, no, I will teach you a lesson for showing disrespect. The statement, according to the witness, the statement the Uber driver used was that I will show you where power lies. So the power is the pistol. So he held the pistol, bent the boy's head down on the ground, and put the pistol at the back of the head, which is the back of the head. The boy was crying, pleading that don't shoot me. The girlfriend was pleading, don't shoot me, we will pay the difference. Before they could realize, the gentleman has pulled the trigger, and that bloated the head of the boy down in a very severe pool of blood. So the boy died instantly. The driver, knowing what he has done, he couldn't run because it dawned on him. So he had to go to the police station himself to report himself that he has committed this act. And he was asked whether there was any provocation. Then he concluded that it was done without any provocation. So the act was done without any provocation. There wasn't anything like there was argument. There wasn't anything like they were battling. There wasn't any fight. This is a gentleman who cannot even kill a fowl. So there wasn't any fight. Nothing happened. He just pulled the trigger. Yes, when it happens like this, people will be talking, other rumors will be going that there are fights going on before he pulled the trigger. There was nothing like a fight. And the gentleman in question wasn't holding anything for you to say that he's attacking you before you come for self-defense. So that is what happened.
I can understand the pain you are feeling now, but I also want to know, you said that you found out on TikTok. At what point did the police contacted you? At what point did they come in, and what has been your engagement with them so far?
Okay, so when when I saw the information of TikTok, after that, in the early mornings, I was trying to reach out to the boy's father, but the phone wasn't going through. So I called other uncles, and they also told me that they just heard it because it went viral. There were other people who, they sent the videos across. So bloggers were putting it on other social media handles. So that was where some of the families also got to know. So the families were coming. So they told me they also just saw the incident. So they are now coming to the family house. So when I got to the family house, before we heard that the police came. Actually, when it happened, the police did well. One police I think the leader, Mr. Ahin, is a police officer. I don't know his rank though, but he came leading the police troop to the house to come and commiserate with the family. Yes, so the police came instantly when the issue happened. They came to the house to give us the narration, and they left and made us inform that they will come again because the Inspector General of Police is aware of the issue, so they will come again. So the following day, that was on Sunday. This incident happened on Sunday. The following day, which was on Monday, yesterday, the IGP himself, Dr. Dampare, with other police members came to the house here to commiserate with the family and assured the family for justice. So they have given their word out that the family will be hearing from us, and they've given the family also a counselor also to be coming in and be speaking to the parents. And
I just saw two of them here.
Exactly, that's right. So the police people were just here this morning as well.
Because of time, we want to know, you said the police have assured you of justice, but what are your demands at the moment?
For now, the family the family is not yet gathered. You know, when the issue has happened like this, we all going helter-skelter, trying to know what actually to do. So we've scheduled our first meeting to Sunday, this coming Sunday. That is when we're going to have our first meeting, which is on the 25th. Sunday is 25th of August. So we're going to have our first meeting then. So in the meeting, that was when we're going to know. The family will decide and actually know what necessary steps to take. So for now, I can say that the family hasn't taken any decision yet. There is no steps taken now. There are no steps taken now. We are yet to meet as a family then we will know the steps, the actual steps to take. Yes, but for now, what we can say is that the police said they have taken up the issue. So the family will meet on Sunday. Then we will know what actually it is, the demands will be. Yeah, so for now, it's our person that has lost. The life is more important than the demand. The life is gone, and it's a painful death. And
thank you very much, Mr. Wizard. So, Lantam, on my extreme right, the mother just walked inside. She is in uncontrollable tears. She just walked in. She just walked inside. She's unable to talk. She's unable to say anything. And you can see there are some women who are with her trying to console her. But I want to find out from the family spokesperson, who is also the cousin of the demised, Stanley. Who was Stanley? How was he like?
Well, Stanley is my cousin, and he's a nice gentleman. He's cool, respectful, and like I said before, you asked me to speak. I was saying that he's someone who cannot even kill a fowl. He is very quiet, and everyone who knows him will attest to that he doesn't like trouble. He doesn't want to even argue. So even though we are humans and there may be disagreements to issues, he's someone who is also quick to apologize. So that was the reason he surrendered and knelt down to apologize. So at least the policeman should have some conscience to rescind on his decision by not pulling the trigger. But no one knows what actually came over him to do that. Yes. So Stanley is a nice person. He's a cool person.
Stanley was a nice person, and we have the spokesperson of the family giving us the chilling reports of how they even received the news, how the police has been involved in the issue so far. So Lantam, we will end it here. We will bring you more in a subsequent bulletin.
Thank you very much, Evelyn Arba Edu, bringing us that update from the family house of the deceased Stanley in La Paz. Quite unfortunate incident there, but we'll be following this. Evelyn has reported that 2 psychologists from the Ghana Police Service have gone to the family house, and they are trying to help the family psychologically deal with the grief that has been caused by this particular incident. And so in our subsequent bulletins, we'll bring you some more updates. Now, the Chief Executive Officer of the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital, Dr. Poko Ariampoma, has assured the Renal Patients Association that there will be no need for them to embark on their intended picketing at the renal unit, as arrangements were made to airlift essential consumables needed for dialysis, which has now arrived at the facility. Speaking earlier on the Morning Star, the CEO assured that the renal unit will be opened to outpatients from August 21. The Renal Patients Association threatened to picket at the renal unit from August 21 over the facility's continuous closure to outpatients due to essential commodities which were stuck at the ports.
We have actually cleared a 20-footer container. We have 2 containers that were some of the items. We had cleared a 20-footer container last week. Okay, but when the 12-footer container came in, the items had been packed such that some of the physical staff were not in the 20-foot container, or the quantities that were in it were not insufficient to run the full outpatient service. And so they are in the 40-foot container, which we now have go ahead to get released from the port. But then in the meantime, just so that we to avoid that, we had also tried to airlift some directly. So the airlifted ones, unfortunately, these things are sometimes happen. There was a delay with the person bringing the cargo missed the intended flight. It was supposed to come on Turkish Airlines. It missed the flight, so we had to bring it in on Emirates. So we took delivery of it last night, and so now we have reasonable stock to start the outpatient service as well. Because we are doing the inpatient and emergency. So now we are in a position to start the outpatient service. I'm saying this is a new development because the items just arrived last time. But then we are also clearing the 40-foot container, which will have stock to last for between 6 months and a year. Yeah, so our message to them is that they should stay calm and that we've received the necessary, the needed consumables to start the outpatient service. So there's no need for them to take the back.
Well, let's now hear from the spokesperson or the president of the Renal Patients Association of Ghana, Bafor Ahenkra. Of course, he has been speaking to us with regard to the plight of the renal patients. Bafor, thank you very much for joining us here on Newsroom. You've heard the CEO of the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital speak. Obviously, he spoke to us early on the Morning Star today, after which we spoke to the CEO. This is what he has said. In fact, he even assured that perhaps later on today, some outpatients could start receiving dialysis treatments because some consumables have arrived. Have you spoken to him? What has been your engagement? What is your reaction to all of this?
Thank you very much, Lantam. I'm just hearing this, and so I'm here to communicate with the PRO and find out. I'm just hearing it. If it is so, then it's a welcoming news. Then there wouldn't be the need to come in. There wouldn't be the need for us to come and pick it. If that is exactly what is coming out from the chief executive, we thank God, because that is all that we were looking for. That is what we wanted to hear from them. So if some of the groups have arrived and then maybe operation can start today, tomorrow, that is a very good and welcoming news. And we pray it should be so. If not, tomorrow we'll pick it.
I mean, can you walk us through, help us understand what members of your association, have suffered in this period that the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital renal unit has not been functioning for outpatients,
Lantam, it's a very horrible situation and a very sad situation. For 3 weeks, most of the people have not been able to go for dialysis. If you don't mind, I can send you an audio of patients crying on me. What are we doing? What are we doing? All this. And it's sometimes so disheartening that there's nothing we can do. Myself, I'm also a patient. So there's little that I can do. So it has been very, very, very tough for us for this past 3 weeks. That to an extent that we've lost about three of our colleagues. It's neither fault of everybody here, but the point was, we beg Korle Bu, we beg them that this thing should stop, whereby always consumables is short, the unit is closed down, people losing their life and all those things. It's not good. Sometimes we don't like, personally, I don't like coming to media, talking about this, making all the allegations of talking about so many things. But the point is, we are left with nothing, that we don't have any choice than to come out to show our frustration out. So it has been very, very difficult for this past 3 weeks.
So, I mean, moving forward, what would be that call, to the Ghana Health Service, to the management of Korle Bu Teaching Hospital, so that some of these issues do not pop up, which, of course, can lead to some difficult and trying times for people who suffer from, end-stage kidney disease and the like?
Yeah, Lantam, thank you once again. You see, I believe Korle Bu is a well-organized structure, lines in place. So whilst we are using the consumables, I think they have stores. So as long as the line, they should recheck when the thing is getting, because the point is, I understand the situation, because once they use one particular line for you, once you are finished, the line is taken and is thrown away. So we use a lot of lines. If they're supposed to dialyze maybe about 50 people a day, all those 50 lines will be thrown away. So I beg them, they should be doing regular checkups on the consumables. As it's getting finished, then they restock. As it's getting finished, they restock. Because just one day of the closure of the place can cause a lot of havoc to people.
Right.
So please, I don't know how management goes about it, but they should check these things for us.
Very well, Bafor. We're grateful that you've joined us here and spoken to us. And you've just heard us speak to Bafor Ahenkra. He's the president of the Renal Patients Association of Ghana. They are happy about that news from the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital, that they can now begin outpatient dialysis services. It's now time for the EIB Election Hub. The Electoral Commission is calling on Ghanaians to actively participate in the voters' exhibition exercise, which is scheduled to begin from August 20 to August 27 at all polling stations nationwide. Addressing the media during the Let the Citizens Know series, the Deputy Chairman of the Electoral Commission in charge of corporate services, Dr. Bosman Asari, disclosed that the primary goal of the exercise is to sanitize the voters' register and also to help voters know their polling station ahead of the December 7 election. According to Dr. Bosman Asari, voters can request correct spelling errors, challenge unqualified voters on the register, adjust wrong registration codes, amongst others.
Today's Let the Citizen Know is about the exhibition of the Provisional Voters Register, which begins on 20th August and ends on 27th August from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. each day. The exercise will take place at all polling stations in all the 268 districts nationwide. The exhibition exercise is one of the main activities the Commission is required to perform ahead of the 2024 presidential and parliamentary elections. This exercise is exclusively about correcting the Provisional Voters Register to make the Voters Register robust and credible for the 2024 general elections. Again, the Voters Register in its current state is provisional, and the exhibition exercise is meant to correct the register of all errors before it is finalized for the elections. By provisional, it implies that the register is not final. After the exhibition exercise, the voters' register will be accurate and credible, and this will result in the final register, which will be used for the elections. We have heard in sections of the media that the Commission has not given the provisional register to the political parties. After informing the parties to bring their external drives, we wish to place on record that per Regulation 22 of CI 91, as amended by CI 126, the Commission is required to give the provisional register to the political parties not later than 3 months from the end of the registration period. As you may be aware, the limited registration ended on 29th May 2024, and the mop-up registration ended on 3rd August 2024. On the basis of the limited registration, the Commission has until the end of August 2024 to give the provisional register to the political parties.
Well, let's find out how the voters register exhibition exercise is panning out in some of the registration centers or some of the polling stations across the country. First, we'll take you to the Ashanti region. My colleague Isaac Justice Bediako has been to some of the polling stations and he'll bring us an update. So, Isaac, from where you are, what can you report with regard to how the exhibition exercise is going on? Are people patronizing? Are people checking their names? What's happening?
Well, Lantam, I must say that yes, the EC exhibition exercise are expected in the Ashanti region as it was announced by the Electoral Commission. But I must say that the exhibition centers that I have visited this morning, the numbers that they have recorded as people coming to check their names, check the correct spellings of their names, among other things, is not encouraging. Currently, I'm stationed at the Benyame Basic School, and this particular school has 4 combined centers, and that is where the exercise is ongoing. And as you can see from the behind me, these are the officers doing the exhibition exercise. As we speak, the 7th person is the one in the behind the table going through the process. It means that the attendance is not encouraging. I have been to Swame, Bishop Sapon Registration Center. The numbers as at 7, they had recorded 4. So, as at 10 a.m., they had recorded 4. So it is not encouraging, but the weather could also partly be blamed because this morning has been drizzling all over. And so people don't want to be soaked by the water. And that's why I believe they have not come out in their numbers to participate in the exercise. So that is the development at Benyame Business School where I am at the moment. And this is 4 centers combined.
Very well, Isaac, thank you very much for bringing us that update from the Ashanti region. Isaac Justice Bediako is our man in the Ashanti region, indicating how the voter exercise, or should I say exhibition exercise is going on. We'll connect now to Obed King Gaglo, who is here in the Greater Accra region. He's also been touring some of the centers here, and I will ask him what he can report. Obed, so which exhibition centers have you been to here in the Greater Accra region, and what have you observed as you've been touring these centers?
Right, Lantam, I'm currently here in the Ablekuma North constituency, where the exercise is currently ongoing. But unfortunately, it has been slow, and out of 546 persons on the register in this polling station, only 7 people have been here to verify whether or not their names are in the register. But before here, I also went to other constituencies, including the Iowa North constituency, specifically at the Kutubapi class of schools. But I spoke to some of the people who live around and asked them as to whether or not they are aware there is an exhibition exercise. And they told me that they are aware, but because there's a short code available, some of them may not come here physically to verify their name. So it has been generally slow at all the various polling stations I have monitored so far.
Have you been able to speak to some of the people who have been checking their names? What have they been saying? Did they find their names? Did they encounter any problems?
Right. So far, as I mentioned, 7 people have verified their names over here. And yes, all 7 of them were able to find their names, including the correct spelling of their names and other details, their date of birth, the code, and everything. And so for those who stand up here, they've been able to do so currently at this very polling station.
Very well. Thank you very much. Obed King Gaglo, my colleague there, also touring some of the centers in the Greater Accra region and bringing us all of those updates. It looks like the patronage is not quite what we would want to expect. And we're encouraging everybody out there, get to your polling station and check to see if your name is in the register. If you're unable to go to your polling station, well, there is a short code that you can use from the comfort of your home and check to see if your name indeed is in the voters register. Nana Ama Akwa is here in the studio. She's going to take us through that and help us understand exactly how, from the comfort of our homes, we can check to see if our names are in the register. Nana Ama, good morning.
Good afternoon, actually, Lantam. I've linked my phone so that you can see how you can find out if your name is on the voters register. So first of all, you need your phone. Secondly, you also need your voter's ID. So the number is *711 *51#. Once you do that, press the green button. It should go through. Then you pick your SIM that has your mobile money attached to it. Now you type in your voter's registration number or identification number, sorry. So I'll type mine in right now, 35037. Okay, done with that. So I'm going to be charged 50 pesos for this. So I want to confirm that that is what I wish to do. Then it brings me to my PIN number there. And Eugene, if you can cover it for me, thank you very much. I don't want anybody going into my mobile money there. Do I want to approve the transaction? I'll dial number 1 saying yes. And it tells me there that I have paid and I'm done. So that's the whole process. It's not very difficult at all. So all you have to do is dial *711 *51#. Then you follow the prompts. You put in your mobile money code. Once you've done that, everything should pop up there for you. And it tells you that it has taken the 50 pesos for the transaction. Then we are done. Lantam, back over to you.
Well, thank you, Nana Ama, for taking us through that. And so you know how to check to see if your name is in the register. That's if you are unable to physically go to your polling station. If you're able to physically go to your polling station, it will be good to get there and see if your name is in the voters register. Now, leading member of the CPP, that's the Convention People's Party, Kwame Jantua, has questioned the source of funding for the ambitious promises made by political parties ahead of the December polls. Various parties have made promises in a bid to woo voters. However, according to Mr. Jantua, most of the pledges are not feasible due to financial constraints. He cites the current IMF program as a bottleneck that will limit government expenditure. He spoke earlier on GH Today.
Where is the money going to come from? Private sector businesses, having the private sector cut a lot of their staff. And let me give you one example. You know, blocks, that is meant for Ghanaians, where Ghanaians could earn some money out of. The Turkish people have taken that industry today. AGI, we have seen it and we have complained about it. We've seen it, we've complained about it. Look, we've gotten to a stage where all this hitting of heads, it is not straight. I do not see how straight some of these manifestos are. I have to ask, we haven't even brought our manifesto out. I cannot see where the country is going to move to from this point. I cannot see it. Because it seems to be regurgitating some of the old things, new things that can change the dynamics. I have not seen. So I am pretty worried going forward. 2026, 2025, 2026, 20, how are we? Because remember, there are certain debts we haven't paid, which are accumulating, interest accumulating. How are we going to do? And these are some of the things I want Dr. Baumia to talk about. This is what some of the things, you're an economist, talk about it. Let's face the issue. Let's face the issue. Let's question the answers you give. If they are not right, let's question it.
Well, let's now engage an economist. Professor Patrick Esuming is joining us on the phone to help us understand. I mean, with all of these ambitious promises that these political parties are making, where is the money going to come from, like Mr. Jantua has been quizzing? Professor Patrick Esuming, good afternoon. Welcome to Newsroom here on GHOne Television. When you look at the current state of our economy, you look at our various sources of funding, and you look at the ambitious projects which are very capital intensive that political parties are promising. Realistically speaking, will any government, whether it's an MPP or NDC government, be able to find the money to do these projects?
Good afternoon to you and good afternoon to the listeners. Thanks for having me. I think it's a very, very important question. We cannot draw up manifestos and make up promises and programs without taking proper cognizance of our current context, which you and the previous voice you played made very, very clearly. We are an IMF program, and we are here because we have not been raising enough taxes and we've been spending money we don't have. So I think, and let's face it, the economy is still in an extremely difficult place. So, I mean, the starting point for me of any economic program has to be how to get proper recovery underway, and then also be moving on that to build a more resilient economy that is not going to be subject to every shock that touches the world economy. I think that's really where we should be aiming at. Then, of course, along the way, once the process of building a strong and sustainable economy, we'll be able to create some jobs, and then we will be in a much, much better position to implement some of the more grandiose projects that we are thinking about. So for me, I think it's a legitimate question to say, if someone says, I'm going to do A, B, and C, we have to ask, how much will it cost? Where will the funding come from? Especially when the same group of parties are also promising that we are going to cut tax A and B, we are going to give this incentive, we are going to give this tax holiday. All those programs have to be costed. And then we have to ask, where are we getting the funding from? And be convinced that what they are proposing, they've carefully thought about the financial implications before we go ahead.
Very well, Professor Esuming, I will leave the conversation here. I'm grateful that you've spoken to us here on Newsroom. Professor Patrick Esuming is an economist speaking to that question, where will the money come from to fund all the ambitious promises that are being made. Member of the governing New Patriotic Party's communications team, GHOne, disagrees. He's arguing that his party plans on involving the private sector in infrastructure development to cut costs.
I told you the private sector is going to be involved in infrastructure development to cut down expenditure. So Dr. Bawumia is saying 3% of GDP is going to be directed straight, which equivalent of about 30 billion to the private sector to get it invested to help government cut down expenditure. That's going to be gradual.
Now, former president of the Ghana Journalists Association, Ronald Afelmoney, has lashed out at a member of parliament for the Buakwa South constituency, Samuel Atachia, for denigrating journalism. He described the comments as rooted in ignorance, indicating that the MP, being a learned and well-exposed politician, should have known better. Now, the former director of radio at the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation warned that the lawmaker is on the verge of putting himself in a position of conflict with the media, which could have detrimental implications for government activities. Ronald Afelmoney was reacting to comments made by Samuel Atachia during the recent MPP manifesto launch, where the lawmaker suggested that the country should be led by an economist rather than a journalist.
This assertion is rooted in ignorance. This could be likened to a typical political talk, and on such platforms, politicians who are consumed with all kinds of assumptions spew all kinds of things just to either dazzle the audience or to win votes. Journalism is a very serious business. The one who made a section is a learned member of parliament, well exposed, and he knows the importance of journalists. He's worked with journalists in his law firm, he's worked with journalists in parliament. Can you imagine the darkness which will envelop the whole second arm of government, parliament, if the media should decide to boycott the activities? You can just imagine. So I will dismiss it as mere political talk. And again, I'm disinclined to believe that he is out to set himself on a collision course with journalists, because they said that you don't even argue with people who buy inkings. So you can just imagine if your whole media committee decide to descend on Honorable Atachia, the implications will be incalculable. To serve as a blazing beacon, warning other political activists not at all to rope journalists into their campaign strategies. And this has long been established by Marquez that journalism is the best profession in the world. Politicians have their own issues to grapple with, issues of lack of credibility, issues of mendacity, issues of just to dazzle and win power. And we all know what most politicians do with power. Journalism contributes immensely to a country's economic upswing, social uplift, and democratic.
Well, that's it for your EIB Election Hub here on Newsroom. Welcome back to Newsroom here on GHOne TV. It's time for business news. The 2024 presidential candidate for the really new Patriotic Party, Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has pledged to introduce a flat tax rate for all importers at the country's ports of entry. Dr. Bawumia also highlighted plans to harmonize duties and charges with those of other West African ports, particularly the Port of Togo. Now, this promise is in response to ongoing complaints of key stakeholders, including the Exporters and Importers Association of Ghana, the Ghana Union of Traders Association, among others. And these groups have expressed concern about the over 22 different taxes and levies they currently face at the Ghanaian ports, which they argue are significantly impacting their profits.
My government will be for business because, true to our philosophy, I believe the business of government is to empower business to deliver for society. A flat rate system of duties for all importers will be implemented, bringing predictability and stability on prices of imported goods. We will harmonize port charges to align the charges with the charges in competing regional ports, particularly Togo. Duties in our ports will not be higher than the duties in Lomé, Togo. Very importantly, we will use the government's purchasing power to stimulate industrial.
Well, let's stay on this a while longer. Let's engage GHOne. He is a partner, tax and regulatory services at Deloitte. We're engaging him via Zoom. Thank you very much for joining us. These are the raft of measures that the Vice President is announcing he's going to introduce to make sure that there is a bit of ease when people want to import things into the country. Is it a good policy that we should all be looking forward to having been implemented by any future government?
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity. And I think starting from basics, every business person you talk to will tell you that it's in the right order. Every business seeks to have ease of doing business, simplified tax code, ease of implementing all the tax rules and laws as it is, and having some predictability. So it's looking at the policy objective that is very well-intentioned, and there is no business person who would say they wouldn't want that. But to achieve these aims, I think there will be some hurdles that his future government, if they are voted into power, would have to overcome to be able to implement this flat rate or other simplified tax regime that is quoting. So one of it will be the main thing here. That's the IMF conditionalities.
Right.
And so we all do know that Ghana currently is under the IMF conditions due to challenges that we are having with raising finances. So any of such intentions or policy amendments would have to be looked at vis-a-vis what the IMF is asking government to do. So one of it is in the first place that what is this impact going to be on our budget deficits or targets that has been set under the IMF conditions? And is any such flat rates going to lead to reduction in government revenue targets? If it is, then we would have a problem with that. If on the other hand, the simulations have been done by his policy team and they've gone through this process and seen that having a flat rate would lead to an increment in revenue for government, or may even lead to us reducing our budget deficits, etc., then that is good news, and that would be very much hoped for and looked forward to. So that's the main challenge with this policy objectives that are here. Yeah.
Right, very well. We'll leave this conversation here. I'm pretty sure we'll engage you subsequently on other business segments to really get into the nitty-gritty of all of these raft of tax measures. But I'm grateful that you've joined us here on Newsroom to have this conversation. And you've just heard us speak to GHOne, who is Partner Tax and Regulatory Services at Deloitte. Now, the Minister for Works and Housing, Papanko, is indicating that despite the global challenges that have impacted economics worldwide, including Ghana, the NPP government has successfully grown the Ghanaian economy by approximately 20 billion. According to him, this growth has translated into various infrastructure developments and the creation of over 2.3 million jobs for citizens. He made these comments on State of Affairs here on GHOne TV.
Dispassionately look at what has happened since 2017 is that the Ghanaian economy has grown by about $20 billion. About $20 billion. This is despite even all the havoc that has been reached on some parts of the economy by the pandemic and then by the cost of living crisis that came, following that one. In fact, the per capita income is the average that the person living in Ghana is earning. It's moved up from about $1,900 in 2016 to $2,436 as at now in 2023. The Ghanaian economy, looking at where we are going, is envisaged to hit about $78 billion, about $2 billion more by the end of this fiscal year. Even as at now, nearly about 111 new medical facilities that are coming up. If you take jobs, about 2.3 million jobs now registered on the SNIT database, which suggests to you that a bit more has been created than that. This is only those who went to SNIT formally to register, a combination of public sector and private sector. If you take investments in housing, for example, take even just the security services, about 1,000 homes from 2017 to the security services. This is excluding what has been done by TDC in Kpong, or by state housing, or by the National Home Ownership Fund. So sector by sector, you will find that a lot has been.
Well, that's it for the business brief here on Newsroom. Welcome back to Newsroom here on GHOne TV. Time for sports. Nanama Ajimang is in the studio with the details in sports. Nanama, what's in sports?
In sports this afternoon, Jamie Vardy marked his return to the Premier League with a goal as promoted Leicester held Tottenham to a draw at King Power Stadium. The 37-year-old scored with a host, first shot on target, nodding in Abdul Fattah Shahako's cross, front close just before the hour mark. The goal cancelled out Pedro's first half opener for the Spurs side. Here's Leicester City manager Cooper speaking after the game. Now, the Minister of Youth and Sports, Honorable Mustafa Yusuf, has revealed that the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation was paid in excess of $3 million for the coverage of the 13 African Games. At a Public Accounts Committee hearing at the Parliament House yesterday, the minister was quizzed on how much was spent on the coverage if payment has been made to the GBC for the games that span for 15 days from 8th of March to the 23rd of March.
GBC was the official broadcaster for the African Games, the 13th African Games, and I can confirm that full payment have made to GBC.
Do you have per chance what the amount was?
I can't recollect the exact amount, but I know that it's in the excess of $3 million US dollars.
You paid GBC
yes.
in excess of $3 million US dollars for coverage of the All Africa Games.
Yes.
Chairman, I think that I would rest here and maybe the next time GBC appears before us, because most of the technicians who worked on the All Africa Games have still not been paid.
That is all for sports here. I am Nana Ama Ajiman. Back to you, Lantam.
Well, thank you very much, Nana Ama Ajiman, bringing us the latest in the world of sports. And it's interesting that over $3 million US was used in the coverage of the All Africa Games. And you've just seen that Mustafa Yusuf, who is the minister responsible for youth and sports, has been answering questions about that at the Public Accounts Committee. But what have you been saying on social media after this revelation? Nana Ama Akwa is in the studio with those details from our social media pages. Nanama, how are people reacting to this?
Well, Lantam, people have a lot to say because it's a lot of money. Dennis on Facebook says, hey, Ghana, someone's beloved country. Then we also have Felix. We, the youth, are not angry enough. No accountability, always stealing from the country. King says, asked $3 million. How long did the whole tournament last, sir? 15 days. Ghana, we are finished. And we have Edmund, equipments, logistics, salaries, and miscellaneous. You figure covering such an event be small money? There is no kululu here. Next. Well, that was only for coverage. On Instagram, we have here, you mean Ghana Broadcasting Corporation or BBC News? Army robbers, pa. Then we have Sapong, clap for the minister. Then we have our next comment on X. They won't be arrested and prosecuted. The cycle will continue. We move. We have the Osu mayor who asks how much was the actual budget from the government for this event. Then we have Darlington. They should continue chopping the taxpayers' money and tell us, mumbo jumbo, their time will come. Look at this. Then Amponsa says, I don't even know why we don't talk in cities. My name is Nanama Aqua Lantam. Back over to you.
Thank you, Nanama Aqua, bringing us all of those comments. Let's keep the conversation going on our social media pages, Facebook, X, and of course, Instagram. This is